This is the Galaxy Z Fold 7, and it's a terrific foldable phone, the best upgrade I think they've made to this in years, but it's not perfect. And actually, maybe this is better, the new Honor Magic V5. I've had this for like a month now. For example, with the Fold 7, you've got a 10 megapixel telephoto. With the V5, you've got 64 megapixels plus their AI super zoom. We have a 4400 milliamp hour battery versus 5820 on the V5, plus, of course, 66 watt supercharging and also 50 watt wireless versus 25 and 15 watts. Also, this does not support an S Pen anymore, whereas this does support Honor's Magic Pen, the stylus for both screens. This also has an anti-reflective coating on the tablet screen. This doesn't. And a super fast 4320 Hz PWM, that's pulse width modulation, and we'll talk more about that later. This is 480 Hz. And when it comes to durability, this is IP48. This is IP59. The V5's camera is also better at handling fast-moving subjects, and also just look at that zoom difference. That is nuts. And both companies promise 7 years of OS update. You get the idea. The V5 has a lot of potential, and about a month ago I posted my first look hands-on video with it, but since then it's had a big software update, meaning I've been able to properly use and test it.
Yeah, he actually loves that.
Mate, this is actually sick, to be fair. No way.
But to give you a quick recap, coming from last year's V3, obviously there wasn't a V4 because the number 4 doesn't sound very nice in Mandarin, it sounds like death. But anyway, V3 to V5, we have this new design that's thinner, it's lighter, it's more durable with an IP59 rating, a tougher inner screen, slimmer and stronger hinge, the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, of course, a significantly bigger battery, and it's the first to use 15% silicon in its silicon carbon battery chemistry. We have their brightest and fastest screens yet, a big upgrade to the cameras, particularly the zoom, and more on that in a second, and some of the best AI and software features that you can get on a Fold.
It was nothing.
Altogether, it's a very nice refinement of the V3, which was already one of my favorite foldables, and versus the Fold 7, they're actually a very similar size and weight. Although bear in mind the white version of the V5 is about 0.2 millimeters thinner and 5 grams lighter than this one. Very squared off design for the Fold, more rounded on the V5, but you can see the difference that anti-reflective coating makes diffusing lights. Although the downside is you do get this kind of purpley color. Both have minimal creases. I would say, I'm just running my fingers over them, I would say they're exactly the same. There's nothing in it when it comes to the crease. You really don't notice it anymore. And looking at the cover screen, the V5 is still the most comfortable. It's the closest to a typical phone-sized screen, making it just that bit more comfortable for typing. There really isn't that much of a compromise to just using it like a regular phone. But then when you want that extra space for a big screen experience, or to have 2 or 3 apps side by side, you've got the option. Oh, and I mentioned it supports their Magic Pen, right? As I say, the Fold 7 does not this year. They removed the digitizer so they could make the phone thinner, and yet, even though this is roughly the same size, same thickness as the Fold 7, we do still have a digitizer. The pen is an optional extra, you have to pay for it, but it does give you that functionality that you just don't get anymore on the latest Samsung. And can we just talk about this PWM for a second? If I change the shutter speed on my camera, this is particularly noticeable at lower brightnesses, so if you're, say, scrolling in bed last thing at night, and you can see the difference in that flickering, that refresh. And on these OLED panels, when you have a lower PWM, a lower frequency, some people can even get headaches and feel nauseous. Combined with this whole suite of eye comfort modes, having this be more comfortable for your eyes is a pretty big deal. There is no getting away from this very chunky camera module though, although it does mean they can squeeze in better cameras, which I'm all for. And also, while this camera module does keep the phone nice and stable when it's closed on your desk, unlike the Fold 7, open it up and it is a wobbly Honor also say they've tested this folding mechanism, this hinge, for 500,000 folds, so I've got no issues with the durability. IP59 as well, with the 9 meaning it actually can withstand hot jets of pressurized water on it, so you could potentially take this in the shower with you, although I'm not sure why you'd want to. And it's just the little things as well, like how it sounds when you close it. Also, this lovely ornate design on the hinge, and the shimmery brushed metal look to the back. It's a gorgeous phone. And with that Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, the 120Hz refresh rates for both screens, the latest Magic OS 9 software, the V5 is just lovely to use. And in fact, here's the very handy little About phone page with the specs. You can see it's got 16 gigs of RAM, 512 storage, Android 15. We haven't yet had the update to 16, unlike Sammy's Fold. But since I have them both with me here, I am kind of curious to see which is faster, given they both have the same 8 Elite chip, although this is the tuned for Galaxy version, and also how they compare in terms of battery life. And for a little bit of extra context, let's bring in last year's V3 with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip. And in Geekbench 6, the V5 is 40% faster on average than the V3, with the Fold 7 squeezing out an extra 4% in multi-core. But then jumping over to 3D Mark, which tests the graphics, the V5 is 26% faster than last year, and while the Fold 7's peak score is 5% higher than that, the stability score is lower. It actually throttles more, so it roughly evens out. Either way, the 8 Elite is a big upgrade from last year's 8 Gen 3, and it is more than capable for all the most demanding multitasking and gaming, and of course making sure it's future-proof. Given how expensive these are, you're probably going to want to hang on to them for a while. But what about battery life? Because Honor claim that in their local video playback test, you'll get 9 hours more from this than the Fold 7. 49 hours versus 40 hours. And obviously we have a much bigger battery, so fair enough. But of course I have to do my own tests, and here's a time lapse of my YouTube streaming test. Wi-Fi only, 150 nits, latest updates, etc. And there we go, the Fold 7 kicks the bucket first, with last year's V3 lasting a good half an hour longer. But then only an extra 11 minutes for the V5, equating to just a 5% longer battery life for the V5 over the Fold. Switching to gaming, and after 2 hours of playing War Thunder, the V3 was left on 58%, the V5 59%, and the Fold 7 55%. So again, last place for Samsung. And after the test, the V5 was about 2.5 degrees Celsius cooler. I had expected a little bit more from the V5, given it has a 32% larger battery, but then of course Samsung has the tuned for Galaxy version of the 8 Elite, which is perhaps a little bit more efficient. Still, it is without doubt the biggest battery I've ever tested on a foldable, and also the longest lasting, so I think I need to redo my big battery rundown test with all the latest flagships. And don't forget, we also have the much faster charging, 66-watt wired, 50-watt wireless versus 25 and 15 on the Fold. So it lasts longer and it charges much faster. Although of course it is BYOC, bring your own chargers. Cool, that is a bit bright. This is being recorded on the V5 at 4K 60 with the rear cameras, but obviously the benefit of a Fold is I can use the cover screen as a cover screen preview, so I can actually see myself while I'm recording with the main lenses on the back. I don't have to rely on the selfie cameras, although you do still have two 20 megapixel selfies on the tablet screen and the cover screen. The main upgrade this year, still a triple lens setup on the back, is the ultrawide and the periscope. The ultrawide's been bumped from 40 megapixels to 50, and the periscope's gone from 50 to 64 megapixels. And we have a bigger sensor. We've gone from, I think, 1/2.51 inches to 1/2 inch. So high resolution, bigger sensor. And of course, you've also got the processing and software enhancements that you get with the new ISP in the chip. So while the main wide camera has stayed pretty much the same in terms of hardware, it's a pretty decent upgrade, even versus last year in terms of the ultrawide and the telephoto. But I can also then turn on AI Super Zoom on the V5, not an option on the V3. You do need an internet connection for the AI Super Zoom, and it takes a few seconds to process afterwards. And it's best used for landscapes, architecture, less so text and people's faces, because it is using AI upscaling. But we do also get some familiar features, like the burst mode has returned. If you long press on the shutter button, you get this really fast 100 photo burst. Honor are one of the best phones when it comes to capturing fast moving subjects. In fact, let me just show you a couple of pictures I snapped in this sort of burst mode of my cat Sylvie as she pounced out of the grass. In fact, the combination of the motion sensing capture and also the HD super burst mode is certainly the best fold that I've tested for capturing fast moving subjects, because really, regardless of how good the camera is, if your shot is out of focus, it doesn't really matter, does it? Sticking with photos, and if you tap down here, you can open up the photo profiles. You've got natural, vibrant, and authentic. But then, if you switch over to portrait mode, you've got a whole bunch of different options, because Honor have teamed up with Studio Harcourt for these vibrant, color, and classic presets. You then have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 film simulations. Unlike, say, the iPhone, though, these will be baked in. You can't take it off and go back to a sort of normal photo afterwards. So make sure it is what you like before you take the photo. I also have to show you this. If you tap on the cover screen preview, obviously it gives you, well, the cover screen preview, and this is my really boring background that I'm looking at, but you can also go between a couple of cute little fun shooting modes, as they call them. This is Puff, which is actually quite a nifty idea if you want to get your cat's attention or your kids to look at the phone, although obviously they'll be looking at this and not the actual camera lens. My one gripe when it comes to the cover screen preview, though, is I don't actually have an option to put the camera UI here. I can only see myself, and then I'm still accidentally pressing the screen on the other side with my hand. Most of the folds allow you to put the full camera interface on the front screen. For the life of me, I can't figure out how to do that. Anyway, this is some video I shot on the V5 at 4K 60. This is also St. Cuthbert's Church, where if you've ever seen Hot Fuzz, they push the spire off onto the dude. Anyway, this is now the ultra-wide camera, which I must say is a little soft. You do notice the improvement to quality when you go back to the main lens. But overall, the video does look good, and I am blown away by how smooth it is. The stabilization, even when you punch in 3, 6, 10 times. Like, I'm walking at a pretty brisk pace here at 4K 60, and it's because we have both OIS and EIS for the main and the telephoto cameras that keeps everything nice and smooth. But is it a better camera than the Fold 7? Let me just show you a few side by side. Tell me what you think, but my main takeaways are they're both excellent. I think the Fold 7 does come out on top in terms of portraits and sometimes slightly more natural skin tones, particularly in trickier lighting. And while actually you may prefer this, sometimes the V5's portraits can give you a kind of smoother look. A lot of it will come down to your preference, but the V5 offers you a substantially better quality zoom, both near and far, and regardless of whether you use the motion sensing capture mode, the V5 has an exceptionally fast shutter speed. Oh, and good news for anyone who likes to shoot in log, because initially I thought the V5 didn't have the option, but if you scroll over to More and then open Movie and then swipe up, you'll see the option to enable log mode. So this shoots in a flat color profile, which you can add your LUTs and color grade afterwards. Or you can choose from one of Honor's own presets. However, shooting in log does limit you to 4K 30, there's no 60 FPS option, and you can also only shoot with the main camera, not the ultra-wide or the telephoto, which is a bit disappointing. So let's say you treat yourself and pick up one of these new Magic V5s. Let me give you a few little tips. Down here, you've got this quick layout. So if I tap this one, maybe Google Docs, Instagram, Spotify. So this is multiflex, where you can have between 2 and 3 different windows that you can jump between. You can also drag and drop files, and you can interact with 2 at a time and then switch over to the third one. Adjust the size of each window, so you can go almost full screen with, say, Instagram here, but I've still got these to one side. Don't want to get a copyright strike, so I'll pause that there. And I love the fact it actually saves your multi-flex window as one app here, so I can open that up and everything is ready to go. Bring up the toolbar. Let's also say open the gallery as the third app here. Very nice. So it's really, really intuitive, and you really are taking advantage of having a proper tablet screen in your pocket. Also, you'll see there the little dynamic island. Very much a copy and paste from Apple there, but it does give you drop-down notification for phone calls, music playing, voice recorders. Also, if you long press the power button, it brings up Google Gemini, where I can also share my screen.
Hi, I'm Gemini. We're about to go live.
Gemini, what am I looking at?
I can see George Russell on your screen.
What's he wearing?
It's a little hard to tell, but it looks like he's wearing sunglasses and shorts.
What phone is this?
That's the Honor Magic V3. It's a foldable phone, right?
And even just having the Gemini agent window on the side here can be really useful. But that really is just the start. If I jump into the settings menu, you've got all this built in. So for example, Magic Portal here, let's just circle around this little headset. And this will then give me contextual apps that I can use it with. So let's say you want to just drag that to Notes. Yes, please. It's just sent it right there. Let's see what it makes of this. Google search from that, using Google Lens. AI summary, of course, everything is AI. It's telling me it's the Taycan. Yes, it is. We've also got AI call translation, which is faster and more accurate than ever. Anna, would you like to go out for some food this evening?
Alors Anna, tu aimerais sortir pour manger un peu ce soir?
Ah oui, je suis ravie.
Oh yes, I'm delighted.
Where would you like to go and what time suits?
Où souhaitez-vous aller et à quelle heure cela vous convient-il? Jouer.
8 heures, ça sera parfait. Et je sais pas.
8 a.m. will be perfect.
Alors peut-être ça sera meilleur si on va à un restaurant indien.
So maybe it will be better if we go to an Indian restaurant. Merci, Anna.
De rien.
It was nothing.
We have AI deepfake detection, so if you're on a video call with multiple people and someone is, well, using a deepfake, it will give you a warning. And then you've got all the usual photo editing options. So if I open this guy, I tap on AI edit, I can, let's say, erase him, just like Infinity War. I can also expand my photos with AI outpainting. Oh, and I have to show you this, because while it is a Google AI feature, Honor are the first to bring it to their phones with Honor Image to Video, which, as it says on the tin, can turn any of your photos in the gallery, and it doesn't even have to have been taken on the V5, into a short video clip. It's equal parts amazing and kinda creepy. Honor's also made it really easy to share files and photos from your V5 to your iPhone or your MacBook. So for example, if I take a picture of this lovely fake plant over there, thank you very much, and then I open up Honor Connect on my iPhone, I can go to the gallery, tap share, and then either tap on here, or I can actually use NFC to send the file. So that is the Honor Magic V5. If you've got any questions about this bad boy, let me know in the comments below. If you do fancy picking one of these up for yourself, I will leave a link in the description below, and I think they're gonna have some pretty tasty pre-order deals or some sort of bonus free stuff as well, so definitely worth checking that out in the description. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.